This is the way the game would look at the start, and what I'm going to do is give you a brief understanding on what you do on your turn throughout the game, and also what the objective of the game is. You start with 3 dwarves and 3 elves, and you're going to be placing them on the board on one of these planks here, or you're going to place them at the bottom here. Each one of these spots represent different types of guilds, and each guild will give you something different. For instance, this one would let you collect 2 metal from the supply. But if you notice, there's a gold coin on this one, so if I placed a dwarf there, I would have to take 1 gold coin from my supply and put it into the bank. If I placed, and that would allow me then to get the 2 metals on the collection phase. If I placed an elf or a dwarf here, I'd have to pay 2 gold coins to the bank, but it would allow me to acquire a dwarf or an elf and add them to my workforce. If I placed one of them here, then I would actually be able to steal initiative from another player. So let's say I had 5 initiative, I could actually take first player initiative and give him the 5 initiative instead. Once placement is all done, either here on the bottom or up around the board itself, then you can place workers up here to collect more resources. For every elf here you collect wood, for every dwarf you collect brick, for every elf and dwarf combo you collect metal, and for every elf or dwarf here you collect gold. If ever you have the majority in one of these 4 districts, these sections here, then you actually collect 1 bonus material of that sort. If there's ever a tie, you get nothing. Once all placement is finished up, you would go to the collection phase, which means I would collect, starting from here, I would collect all my resources, I would collect my extra workers if I had any, steal initiative from another player, I would collect income, which I'll explain in just a minute, and then I would pay my taxes, which I'll explain in a minute as well. Then we'd go to the action part. Actions consist of building buildings. You can activate the workers that are placed on the board up here. You can buy gnomes, or you can build properties, or even buy properties. To build a property, you would look at the cards in your hand, or you would look at the guild type and decide if you want to build it. The guilds, to be able to build those, it shows you the resources required: 2 wood, 2 brick, and 2 metal, and they're all the same. The cards in your hand are also shows what type of materials it would take to build them. So it would take 2 wood and 3 brick. And then if I did build this building, I would pay those resources into the bank, and then I would find this symbol, which is represented on each one of the 5 districts. And if it's an open one, so for instance if nobody else owns it, I would place one of my buildings on that spot to show that I have built that building. Then I would take this card and lay it face down in front of me. During the income phase that's listed on the board here, if this card was face up in front of me, then I would collect 1 gold coin on my turn. Right here symbolizes that this would require a gnome to unlock whatever it says down here, and I'll explain that. On your turn on the action phase, you can buy this gnome for 3 coins, and you would place him right there on the card, and then it would allow you to take one of your dwarfs, and you would be able to change him from a regular dwarf into a master dwarf, or as I like to call, a super dwarf. And what that means is if he is ever placed up here on the materials for like brick or for gold or whatever, he would actually do double the amount of work than a normal one. So he would collect 2 bricks or 2 gold, and if you combined him with, say, a super elf, you would actually collect 2 metal. The game goes in rounds or seasons. After everybody's done building and doing their thing, they collect their workers back up, put them back in front of them, and then the next season starts and you proceed again. Whenever the X appears, then that means that's a scoring round. What happens at that point is that you go to each district and you see whoever has the most houses built or buildings built on each district. Whoever does scores points. For each district that you have the majority, you score 5. If ever a tie, you go to the next one down, which would be 3 apiece. You can also have the majority of elves, dwarfs, or gnomes, and if you own the most, then you would score 3 points as well. What's unique and neat about this game is that the more points you score, the more taxes you pay. Remember taxes? We just talked about it right there. Taxes are noted right here on each one of these areas, and depending on whichever area I'm between, for instance, let's say if I was right here. So if I was between 21 and 25, whenever it came to pay my taxes, I'd have to pay 4 gold coins to the bank. If ever I cannot do it, and let's say if I only pay 2, I'd actually have to move back as many spaces as coins as I could not pay. Once the final season comes and everybody does their scoring, you see who is like in the lead, and whoever is awarded the key to the city. And that is the basic rundown on how you play Belfort.